Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a situation that has been quietly building for years, but is now becoming impossible to ignore. The army under President Alexander Lukashenko is no longer the unified force it once appeared to be. Beneath the surface of official statements and state-controlled media, signs of division are growing, and these cracks could have serious consequences for Belarus and the region around it. For decades, Lukashenko has relied heavily on the loyalty of the security forces. The army, the police, and the intelligence services have been the backbone of his rule. Whenever protests erupted or political pressure increased, these institutions were expected to stand firm and follow orders without question. For a long time, that strategy worked. However, the political environment in Belarus has changed. Economic pressure, international isolation, and ongoing public dissatisfaction have created a new reality. Soldiers and officers are not immune to these pressures. They live in the same society, face the same economic struggles, and hear the same rumors and frustrations as ordinary citizens. One of the key issues driving division within the army is the question of loyalty. Loyalty to whom exactly? Is it loyalty to Lukashenko as an individual, loyalty to the state of Belarus, or loyalty to the people? This question has become increasingly difficult to answer, especially for younger officers who did not rise through the ranks during the early years of Lukashenko's rule. Many senior commanders built their careers on personal loyalty to the president. They benefited from stability, promotions, and privileges. For them, maintaining the current system is directly tied to their own status and security. This group remains largely supportive of Lukashenko, at least publicly. On the other hand, there is a growing group of officers who see the situation differently. They are more professionally minded and often more exposed to international military standards and ideas. Some have trained abroad or interacted with foreign counterparts. These experiences have shaped their views on the role of the military in society. For these officers, the idea of using the army to suppress civilians is deeply troubling. They joined the military to defend the country, not to act as an internal police force. When orders blur that line, it creates moral and professional conflict. This is one of the main sources of tension within the ranks. Another factor contributing to division is the war in neighboring Ukraine. This conflict has had a profound impact on Belarusian society and the military. Belarus has been closely aligned with Russia, and its territory has been used for military purposes. This association has placed Belarusian soldiers in an uncomfortable position. Some within the army fear being dragged into a war that is not truly Belarus's own. These opposing views have intensified internal debates. The issue of conscripts versus professional soldiers also plays a role. Conscripts often come from ordinary families and reflect broader public opinion. Their motivation and morale can be fragile, especially if they feel disconnected from the political goals they are asked to support. Low morale among conscripts can affect overall unit cohesion. Professional soldiers, meanwhile, face their own challenges. While they may receive better pay and benefits, they also face greater expectations of loyalty and obedience. When doubts arise about leadership decisions, the pressure on these soldiers increases. Silence becomes a survival strategy, but silence does not erase internal disagreement. Reports and rumors of refusals to carry out certain orders have circulated, even if officially denied. A delayed response, a request for clarification, or an unusually cautious approach can all be signs of uncertainty within the chain of command. Lukashenko is aware of these risks. Over the years, he has taken steps to prevent the army from becoming a political actor. Power has often been balanced between different security institutions, ensuring that no single force becomes too strong or too independent. This strategy, however, can also create competition and mistrust. Frequent reshuffling of commanders is another tactic used to maintain control. While this can prevent the formation of independent power bases, it can also disrupt continuity and weaken trust between leadership and troops. Constant change at the top can create confusion and resentment lower down. Ideological pressure has also increased. Soldiers are expected not only to follow orders, but to demonstrate political loyalty. This can take the form of public statements, participation in state events, or internal monitoring. While such measures may enforce outward conformity, they often deepen private skepticism. The role of propaganda cannot be ignored. State media presents the army as united and unwavering. Any suggestion of division is dismissed as foreign misinformation. However, when the official narrative is too rigid, it can lose credibility, especially among those who know the reality from the inside. Families of soldiers add another layer to the situation. When relatives express concern or opposition, it affects those serving in uniform. Soldiers do not exist in isolation. Conversations at home, messages on social media, and personal experiences all influence their thinking. Economic conditions are another source of strain. Inflation, limited opportunities, and sanctions affect military families just as they affect civilians. Promises of stability ring hollow when daily life becomes harder. This can weaken the emotional bond between soldiers and the state. International sanctions and isolation also limit military cooperation and modernization. Equipment shortages, reduced training opportunities, and uncertainty about the future can damage morale. Soldiers want to feel that their service has purpose and that their institution is respected. Younger generations within the army are particularly important. They grew up in a more connected world with access to alternative viewpoints despite censorship. Their expectations of leadership and governance differ from those of older generations. This generational gap contributes to differing attitudes within the ranks. The question now is how far these divisions can go. At present, there is no clear sign of a unified challenge to Lukashenko from the army. Open defiance remains unlikely, given the risks involved. The system is still strong enough to suppress dissent before it becomes visible. However, history shows that armies do not need to rebel openly to change outcomes. Sometimes, Neutrality or hesitation at a critical moment can be just as decisive. If the army were to refuse to act decisively during a major crisis, the balance of power could shift rapidly. Lukashenko's rule has always depended on the perception of control. As long as the security forces appear loyal and united, opposition movements struggle to gain momentum. Any visible fracture could change public calculations and encourage broader resistance. At the same time, many soldiers fear chaos more than authoritarianism. The memory of instability in other countries serves as a warning. For them, even an imperfect system may seem preferable to uncertainty and conflict. This fear can reinforce obedience, even in the face of doubt. The future of Belarus's army will likely be shaped by events beyond its control. Economic trends, international pressure, and regional security developments will all play a role. The decisions made by political leadership will either ease tensions or deepen them. If reforms are delayed and repression continues, internal divisions may harden. Once trust is broken, it is difficult to restore. An army divided in its beliefs may still function, but its effectiveness and reliability can be compromised. On the other hand, meaningful dialogue and a clearer separation between political power and military duty could reduce tension. Whether such changes are possible under the current leadership remains an open question. For now, the army under Lukashenko stands at a crossroads. Outwardly disciplined and controlled, inwardly wrestling with conflicting loyalties and uncertain futures. This quiet struggle may not make headlines every day, but its impact could be profound. As observers, it is important to look beyond official statements and consider the human element within institutions. Soldiers are not machines. They think, they doubt, and they feel the weight of the choices placed before them. The divisions within Belarus's army are a reflection of the broader divisions within Belarusian society. Until those deeper issues are addressed, unity will remain fragile and conditional. This situation is still unfolding, and its outcome is far from certain. Whether it remains a pillar of the current system or becomes a silent force for change will depend on decisions made in moments of crisis.